Just going to the movies.
Yeah, have you seen? Did you do both Star Wars? Like it came out the original one, where you could see the like the wheels and stuff underneath.
Yeah.
And did you
And
watch the newer?
Yeah.
The remastered. Yeah.
The remastered one.
Now, do you think that there's something that was lost when they remastered it, or do you really think that they went, you know what, that's what it needed to make it pop?
I've got my my opinion, and I think it's Lucas needs to leave it alone.
Mm-hmm. Leave it how it is.
Leave it original.
What's your take?
Yeah,
Who shot first?
well,
Let's get to the quintessential
the essential
Star Wars.
Like, who really?
Yeah, the quintessential Star Wars question: Who shot first?
Han.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, she watched the movie.
Yeah.
That's all the answer.
Well, no, it's just, everybody has an opinion about it. And, most people agree that adding in that blaster hit from Greedo was just kind of cheapened the scene. Because, Han's supposed to be a rogue, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a lovable rogue, but, rogue nonetheless.
But he still breaks the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
And really, I thought that I just didn't feel like the whole idea of, Greedo shooting first was... It cheapened the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
It cheapened his whole character arc.
Yeah.
Actually, I find.
Because it's just, whatever.
So,
Bang!
I have a question. Did you watch... You have Disney Plus, I'm assuming?
No, I do not.
So you didn't... So there's a new version...
Of
Star Wars. Of Episode 4.
Really?
Where they redid that scene.
Again.
Edited
it. What was it, like a cloud of smoke, and Greedo makes some sort of weird...
Greedo basically gives away that he's about to kill him, and that's when Han shoots. So he says, I don't know.
Why?
He says some word or something like, "Ah!" And then that's when Han shoots. I'm like, okay, he's going to kill me. I'm going to kill him first.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Again, just,
Just leave it as is. It was good. It was a great movie. I think Episode 4 is probably, like, high up there for my top Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Because it was just, no one had any idea. Can you imagine at that time, like, nobody had any concept of what a lightsaber was?
Yeah.
And they didn't have to explain in that movie what it was or what the Force is, what Jedi are. But, like, now, younger people, when they get into Star Wars, there's a lot of materials to read about lightsabers and whatnot.
There's less mystery now.
Right, yeah. Which is probably why people are more easily... aggravated, like, oh, you didn't explain this. But I'm like, that's how they were before. Like, nobody explains things. Like, it's a movie, number one. They could do literally whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's like sitcoms.
Yeah.
You'll see things going, well, okay, well, when the whole series is over, well, what about such and such, or what happened with it? A bunch of questions.
Well, one of the things that actually really bothered me about the whole Star Wars franchise is when they did the prequels, because the idea of the Clone Wars was such a cool concept. But they never really explained what the Clone Wars was. And I would have just preferred that it was left to the imagination, not, ultimately what came out in the films. The idea that there was, Jango Fett was cloned, hundreds of thousands of times. And that's why it was called the Clone Wars. Just the idea of the Clone Wars was such kind of a cool, epic concept but actually knowing what it is.
We had, like, what was it like the time between Return and Episode 1? Return of the Jedi and Episode 1 was, 15 years?
Something like that, yeah.
So we had all that time to come up in our own heads what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no way you can do it.
Yeah.
But, that being said, Lucas did have that vision of the whole 9 movies originally.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to what his final trilogy would have been, because he had an outline written.
Yeah. And apparently nothing really got used from it.
Right.
Very little.
And I know, didn't Episode 9 have a different person writing it? I think there's a third director, and Disney didn't like what he wrote.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
Yeah. So
well, actually,
I'm very curious with that person.
If you go back, Lucas only directed Star Wars. He had a hand in writing the script for Empire Strikes Back. I think he provided the concept.
He did the whole story.
Yeah.
And then someone did the teleplay or whatever.
And then, there's somebody else that wrote or directed Return of the Jedi as well.
But that worked.
Yeah.
But it's almost like nowadays you have the chief, like on a show like Buffy, it was Whedon.
Yeah.
But he didn't write all the episodes, but he was the, what do you call it? the lead writer or whatever. So Lucas was doing that with his films, and he was the first person to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really sequels back then anyway for anything. Like, you made a movie and it was one and done.
Mm-hmm. No, but he had like a great vision of
Yeah.
all this. I like the mystery aspect of it, that, you know, there's some races that are just like alien races that are like, yeah, that's just it. They just do that. They make fart sounds, or they look like this. They're a slug, and you just took it as is. They never have to visit all their planets where they're from, just to kind of explain.
That'll be episode 15.
Yeah.
Well, here's a little bit of trivia for you. Apparently, Return of the Jedi, the first draft of the script was actually supposed to be set on Krishak, the Wookiees planet. But when they realized they didn't have the budget to do a bunch of Wookiee costumes,
Right,
they
yeah,
went
yeah.
with the Ewoks.
That's what the
Ewoks,
Ewoks,
Yeah.
Because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, they didn't have the film trickery that they do now. They could take one item, make 1 billion of them, and put them in a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much easier now, yeah.
Which is actually exactly what they did with the Wookiees.
Oh, okay.
But I think some of the greatness of episodes 4, 5, and 6 is all the practical effects and all the things that were invented. I just read 2 really great interviews with Rick Baker,
Yeah.
and he worked on Star Wars. That was one of his first jobs.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how are we going to do this? They were literally taking people like right out of school and anyone that had any aptitude to build this stuff. But it was, I think, what made Star Wars different is everybody came in, everybody worked together. It was this big family, like this big team, just figuring stuff out. And movies don't work that way now.
No. And like, look at Anthony Daniels. Just kept showing up in the movies, and he's actually such a funny person. At the celebrations, he had like a few panels, and he was just talking about like how he really just wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And he is actually in the 3PO like costume, and so he said like back in the earlier episodes, like episode 4 or 6, whatever, which one there, he said that some of them are uncomfortable scenes because, you know, you're a grown man in a tin suit and they're shooting scenes in the desert.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I loved it. Like, he loved every minute of it. So.
Yeah, he's a true, like, he truly loves what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he just showed up in, like, all of the movies.
Yeah, he's been in everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Although I found it interesting to find out that him and Kenny Baker apparently didn't get along.
What?
Yeah.
I heard, yeah.
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 So who is the a-hole of the two?
Well, he had passed with the celebration, so I don't think they didn't really dig into that. Like, there was a panel on droids, which he was there for, and they never mentioned R2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I can't remember the story, but yeah, I just remember reading recently that the two of them didn't get along.
Interesting.
Well, Warwick Davis too, right? Like, he showed up. I mean,
he was there?
Yeah, but he's in a lot of the movies. Like, he would be happy to play any.
He was a
alien.
child when he actually played Wicket.
Yeah.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just like what, 15 or something like that?
Did you go to the panel that he had some panel? Were you on?
Yeah. He was the host in a bunch of panels, and he was saying how much he really loved Carrie Fisher because she would worry about him because they knew he was young.
Oh, okay.
And but he loved appearing in all the movies that.
Yeah, and they have a fair amount of scenes together. So
well, he's like one of the hardest working little people in Hollywood.
Oh God, yeah. Was he funny?
He was funny, yeah. He had really good banter with Anthony Daniels. Actually.
Oh man, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I don't know. He seemed like this great guy, and then they gave him Willow, to do, and I was like, I was so excited for him. I was like, good,
Yeah. The Leprechaun series.
Yeah, and
was that him?
I think he does.
That was Warwick Davis.
Yeah, and he does voices in the animated series. Like, I think he was in Rebels.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he really loves the franchise. Yeah.
I think probably because he's such a nice person, that's probably why they keep using him. Like, well, let's just get Warwick in here.
All I know is that if they do a Willow sequel, they have to have Warwick.
They have to.
Yeah.
They can't. Otherwise, don't do it.
Yeah.
Did you saw Willow, of course?
Yeah.
Did you see Howard the Duck?
Yes.
There's a treatment for a Howard the Duck cartoon that was going to be on Hulu or one of those,
Really?
whatever.
Okay.
And Kevin Smith was involved, and now it's not happening because Marvel, but
Yeah.
or sorry, DC bought DC. Oh my God,
Which
Disney
one?
bought
Disney
out-
bought it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because Howard the Duck would have to be an adult film. Or an adult...
Oh, it had. Oh no,
Yeah.
it was written. It was not for kids.
Yeah.
I actually have some original black and. Oh, I don't have them anymore. I had original black and white, and it was in black and white.
Yeah.
But it was just cool.
No,
Like,
yeah, Disney would
beautiful
not
artwork,
like
yeah.
it.
No.
They will not let that
A little too
air.
dark, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then they do that in, I don't know, you have Disney Plus. Did they take out, like, some of the ones that are a little bit controversial?
Like.
Apparently they did some editing with The Simpsons.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering because some of that's because we actually watched the first Christmas special
Yeah.
where they get the dog,
Yeah.
and it's like wow, it's like it's really edgy. Like, and
Yeah.
it's not so edgy, 3, 4, 5, 10 seasons in, right?
Yeah.
It was really edgy. It's just like, did you ever watch the show Elf? Are you familiar with the
Yep.
show Elf?
Yeah, okay.
Elf is my avatar, if anyone was.
I actually recently just gave Clay an idea to do a whole elf bit in his comedy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Clayton, the director.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a comedian now. That's what he does for a living.
Basically, the idea that the Tanners were really racist. Well, think about it.
Oh my God. All right, go on.
Okay, because Elf, winds up, crashing on Earth, and they find him,
Yeah.
bring him to their home, and I can't remember what the Tanner's father was named, but he looks at me and goes,
Willie.
It's an alien life
Hey,
form.
Willie. It was Willie.
And
Yeah.
Elf. And later on, Elf tells him his real name, Gordon Shumway,
Gordon
but they
Shumway,
still
yeah.
refer to him as Elf.
Yes.
Now, just imagine that we went back to like the 1940s, and the person that they brought into their house was an recent Italian immigrant,
Okay.
and Tanner family realized he's here without papers. He's
Alien.
Alien.
without papers. WOP.
Oh my God.
It's the same idea.
They don't like Malmachians.
Melmac, that's right. Yeah. Melmac.
Yeah. But yeah, they refuse to refer to Elf by
That
his
is I
actual
never
name,
really- yeah, that's true.
Gordon Shumway, right?
Yeah.
They never called him Gordon; they always called him Elf. It would be the same thing if this guy was named like Giuseppe, and they kept referring to him as Hey.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the word, but
Yeah.
you see what I'm getting at?
That first season was racy.
Yeah,
It was very racy.
yeah. Actually, there's a great podcast out there called Under the Puppet where they actually did an interview. It's all about professional puppeteers, and the guy
okay.
brings on puppeteers from Sesame Street, from
Oh, nice.
Jim Henson Company, just right across the board. And he actually had a episode with the creator of Elf, and that episode's actually really, really amazing. And apparently, they actually had a sequel for Elf planned after the military caught him. Because remember how the series ended,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They caught him, yeah.
They were just about, it's about to go back to
Yep.
Melmac, and
Yeah.
military comes in. Apparently, they're going to do this whole, now they've got him, but what do we do with him? And they're going to do this whole, like, Sergeant Bilko thing.
Oh my God.
Where basically, they're regretting having captured him because,
Too much work.
yeah, basically.
Wasn't the movie Paul kind of a direct? Did you ever see the movie Paul?
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I don't think I've ever seen
Yeah.
it.
It was
Similar idea,
basically
yeah.
that was Elf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much. With
Like a literal alien.
yeah,
right?
Little
Yeah.
Alien, yeah. That was good. I loved that movie.
Yeah. If you get a chance, though, check out Under the Puppet. It's
Under the
excellent,
Puppet.
excellent podcast.
I will.
More things to research after this, then.
The show notes are going to kill me.
Yeah.
That's why I already have an episode released for Monday.
Yeah.
Todd, tell Corey and Karen the episode we just recorded that's coming out on Monday. I thought it was freaking hilarious.
We talked about a few things. Which one in particular?
Rock Band?
Oh, Rock Band. Yeah.
Well, don't give any spoilers, but tell them what we did. It was actually very funny. You were very hilarious.
Was I?
I
don't remember that. I honestly don't. No, we were talking about Rock Band.
the video game.
The video game, and we were kind of... It was kind of Rock Band versus
D&D.
D&D. So he had kind of brought it up, and I had like two different...
I had a
versions.
show topic, and it was very vague.
Okay.
And he thought it meant something else, and that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, and that's how it usually happens.
Yeah.
So when he was talking about D&D and Rock Band, okay, automatically Rock Band is about music, and you play the music. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, are you going to be playing the music from D&D? Are you going to be playing like that spatial type of music?
Right.
But how would you do it? Like it's just so mellow or whatever background
Mandolin.
music. Yeah, like you're not,
yeah.
you know. But then it ended up we were talking about Rock Band as in each instrument and how that would correlate to all the players in D&D, all the different races, or not the races, but the different...
He put a lot of thought into it. It was actually really well thought. Like, who's the drummer? Who's the guitar player?
But they're all
who's...
bards, or...
No, each one
Well,
had
we're not
their
gonna-
own
don't
role.
spoil it.
Yeah,
Don't
they
spoil it.
had their
You
own
have to
roles.
listen on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was good. I like because we have we use a program that we share. We put topics in.
Yeah.
And I never know who puts what topic in. You put stuff in there. I'm like, what the F is this? And he does too. And actually, I think your partner put in like her drug thing in there. Like, should pick up some drugs or something.
What?
Pick up some medication. Pick up some medication. So it's on the list. Like, I'm like, is that a topic or?
Yeah, I would really hate to see this podcast on cocaine.
Yeah, no. That would make it.
Just sound like Alvin and Chipmunks.
Yeah, we'll have a big thing. What do they call it? Where they have all the tubes coming out?
A hookah?
The hookah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Did I ever tell you my hookah story?
No.
No.
Oh,
I'm not going off the rails here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm having fun.
My name is
Whenever
Hookah.
Karen's around, I can't stop talking.
Because there's so much that I don't know that I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
feel like
I
you
think we're going to have her back a
Fill
few
me in.
times.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You want? Would you come back again?
Sure, yeah.
So if he gets off his butt and watches this freaking movie, which will be on Disney Plus soon enough, I
Eventually.
guess.
I'm
And
sure
finish
my
them in-
father-in-law will pirate it at some point.
Yeah, and watch The Mandalorian.
yeah.
But I really, we got to talk about it
Yeah.
because you were not happy,
You know, I was not.
and I was like, "Oh, that's good stuff for the show."
Okay.
Because if you liked the movie, it would have been less interesting.
Yeah.
But
did you like the movie?
yes. Love, no. Confused, absolutely.
That's like one of the last Van Halen albums.
Yeah. Can you give us don't give us too much, but give us a little taste of what we'll talk about on that episode when we do that one.
It's just mainly the a lot of it is like the inconsistency of the material, like
You know what?
without giving it away.
Why don't we actually just go into it? Go ahead and spoil it. I know
And then
it's
you're
not-
gonna watch it with all of these.
Well, it's
in
not just
mind?
that, but let's see how I react to. Because I've got this
You might
idea
get-
in my
you might
head
get
based
pissed
on
off.
some of the spoilers that I've already seen of what the film might be. Because doesn't midichlorians come up again?
Do they? I don't think they.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think they did.
Because I thought I read something where midichlorians came back, and that
Like
is-
unless I was busy. I was actually laughing when I was watching it. I watched it with some friends, and we were laughing at some points because it was just so
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Okay.
But I don't know if I missed the. I missed them there.
Yeah.
I
They're not
think
using
they-
lightsabers anymore. They're using cell phones, and they're
Yeah.
That would have been cool, actually.
Yeah.
it's like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Well, I mean, episode 1, they actually referred to it as laser sword.
Laser sword.
Laser sword.
Yeah.
Pointers.
All right. Well, he's giving you carte blanche.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where to start even. But that's my biggest thing is that they've been
Rant.
so
Just rant.
okay. They've been so good, and that's why I really like this entire franchise is because they've been so good in general for like keeping their stories straight. If you pick up a comic book or a non-canon novel that's Star Wars related, they have a team that reviews the book, the material, and make sure it ties into what you saw in the movies or like the main.
Contradict
Yeah, so it
anything.
doesn't contradict, but like the movie had so much of inconsistency.
I don't know where those script doctors or whatever you want to call them. I
Yeah.
don't know where they were on this film, but
I don't
were
think they did it with this one
Continuity,
because
continuity editors. Yeah.
Yeah.
because I think what happened was they brought in the director super late because they had fired the first guy.
So
And
that I wasn't aware of that. So that
they-
actually explains a lot.
right, so they weren't gonna change the release date because they wanted to meet their deadlines. They wanted everything to line up. So
they were never big on pushing dates
right,
in any of these Star Wars films, and there's many times they should have.
right. Because I'm like, just take your time. And so I don't think the script doctors were there at all.
No.
They farmed that out overseas.
What's that?
Maybe they farmed it out overseas.
Script
Disney,
doctoring?
Yeah.
Disney didn't want to pay the quan that would actually take. Maybe I don't know. Just guessing.
I think they're just not good at saying no to certain people. Like,
Yeah.
Well, they said no to
like
the
to
other
the
director.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, right from the start of episode 9, they
You had to count.
I had to count, yeah. Had to count in my head. They kind of went off the rails from, what had been previously considered canon within Star Wars. Because, they had introduced Ben Solo, but in the comics they had Ben and Jason Solo. was
Right,
it?
and they go back and forth. They change the names.
Yeah.
Luke has a lady,
Yeah.
and
Winds up having children.
right,
and-
yeah. Leia becomes a Jedi, and so they go back and forth with what's canon and what's not, which I'm fine with. Do whatever you want, but they're still consistent. Like you watch the cartoons,
Yeah.
how the Jedi were portrayed will be the same as how you've seen it in the movies. But
Yeah.
with just this one, they introduce one concept from the Mandalorian, and they just like go haywire with it. Like I feel.
Yeah. That. Oh, boy, that's something that'd be really not good to spoil to you.
Oh, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the concept they introduced. Are you talking about the Force healing?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so it's a thing now.
Okay.
The Mandalorian don't really mind it because it's just healing like little wounds.
Yeah.
But apparently you can heal mortal wounds as well,
Oh, okay.
which, if you go
Would
back
have been
to...
handy to have earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure Obi-Wan wanted to heal Qui-Gon,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I understand
Or
like
Luke
some...
healing Darth or his dad.
Yeah.
like-
Well, actually, they did kind of introduce a concept in episode 3 with after Anakin was, burned to a crisp. Definitely should have been considered,
Dead.
mortal wounds. But, the idea that he was probably drawing his life force off of Padme.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what was keeping him alive, the dark side power. So, it's already kind of set up in there that,
I guess so.
the force, but
can heal other
But
people. He can
this
share
this was like
different,
Wolverine level,
Yeah.
where they put the Force on them and they healed.
The
just
stitch,
like Wolverine.
yeah.
Yeah. It
Right.
just-
skin
you-
stitches
Right,
back together.
yeah.
and it didn't
exactly.
zap any of their energy.
Oh no.
Well, they said like at the beginning, it didn't seem to bother them, and then towards the end, it mattered. They made it seem like you're sharing your life force with someone,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
a limit to it. But they don't do it once; they do it like 5 times all throughout the movie, and so there were no stakes. I felt like
Right.
the
Exactly.
stakes were lowered because anyone who got stabbed immediately got healed, like within.
This is like right out of the video.
It's
game.
kinda
You
like a
got the
punk out.
cleric. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody comes running up, with the
Deus ex machina,
yeah.
right?
Somebody comes running up, in Call of Duty with the
Yeah.
syringe, and
Yeah.
now you're back up and running
Yeah.
around, and
Yeah, so those were like honestly those are like the main thing. Like the story I didn't really mind. Like I can accept the story, how they wrote it, but it's just like the little inconsistencies that didn't make any sense when you look at the other material
Yeah.
at all.
yeah.
Like
Especially between the second and third. Well, not second and third movie. The 8th and 9th movie. Like, did you find it was blatantly like, you know what?
Undoing?
I don't give a shit pardon my language.
Right.
I don't give a shit what you did in your movie. This is my movie. And it felt like Abrams.
Yeah, because they went back to, I forgot the director's
Ryan
name.
Johnson.
No, the other
J.J.
Abrams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and J.J. Abrams was such a fan of the original trilogy, episodes 4 to 6. That's why episode 7 was very similar, had
Yes.
several similar
Yeah.
concepts. So, episode 9, he didn't want to play with the ideas that episode 8 had created. That's why he brought it back, like brought familiar themes and
There was one I've listened to about 7 podcasts this week that were all
about
reviewing.
that. Yeah.
So the one thing that came up in every single one was the line.
Lando, or
I guess it's the line Luke has, where he says, "You never." No, Yoda says. No.
oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
You never throw away your lightsaber or something.
Yeah.
There's that line. And it's like, yeah, you threw away your lightsaber in the last movie.
Yeah.
So it's almost, I feel like Ryan Johnson undid things, like he kind of changed things from episode
Which
7.
I really liked episode 8 for doing that because
Yeah.
it felt like it was going to be the same trilogy after like seeing episode 7, The Force Awakens.
This
it
was
felt
the
the
Empire
same,
Strikes Back.
right? Yeah, same feeling. So I felt like he went in a completely different direction, and he opened up a lot of like apart from that weird casino scene that he had on episode 8,
Yeah.
the planet didn't
Yeah.
make sense.
And the big alien blue milk titties.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God.
Completely unnecessary.
But I did like the loose threads that he kind of left there. I felt like
Yeah.
you could play
Yeah.
around so much with a lot of them.
Did you like Rose?
I didn't like what she did.
Okay.
But I that can be her
that's-
character.
But that's
I
like the
can
bone of
accept that.
contention for episode 8 was Rose.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Sylvie doesn't like Star Wars. The only thing she liked was The Force Awakens, and in episode 8, which she did not like, the only thing she liked about episode 8 was Rose. That's the only thing she
Really?
liked. Yeah.
I think Rose is just kind of pure character, somebody that really
yeah.
believes in what's...
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm okay with her. I didn't
Yeah.
like the entire casino scene, but like her existing was okay.
Yeah, that casino scene was a bit long.
It's a
maybe.
bit
Like,
lost.
there's too much.
It's not connected to
Okay,
Yeah.
here's a question that I have to ask.
what happened in episode.
No. Did they ever explain Snoke?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Oh, it's a very bizarre. Even that was a very bizarre
Because that seemed like
explanation.
such a waste of a character because, they spent all this time, building up Snoke.
Ryan Johnson's plan, if he was doing the next movie, would have probably explained.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they
But
went
the
with someone else's
explanation,
explanation.
the explanation of J.J. Abrams, I don't want to get into. We don't want to spoil that for him. We're already spoiling a lot of things. But when you see his explanation of Snoke, you're just gonna laugh.
okay.
Yeah,
You're gonna be
it's
like,
actually
seriously?
it's not comical funny. It's
Sad.
really
Yeah,
the whole emperor thing.
right. So you know that. Did you?
Yeah,
watch
well,
the trailer?
that was obvious
Right.
just based on the trailer.
Yeah.
The Emperor was going to come back. And I mean,
Right.
that's something that's already happened in, the books
Mm-hmm.
and the comics. I mean,
Or the emperor coming back, you mean?
yeah, actually, I was kind of expecting to draw a little bit more off of, Star Wars Dark Empire, where they have Luke tempted by the dark side, and when the Emperor returns, he realizes that the only way to take down the dark side is to go over. Because Kylo Ren's costume was based on Luke's Jedi uniform in that comic series, with the vented sleeves,
Yeah,
and,
okay.
the all black with the black cape. And it also, again, had the Emperor coming back, but it was the Emperor as a clone, and he explained that, the dark side he was able to stay alive as essentially a Force being, and would come back using clones of himself, but because of the power of the dark side,
Yeah.
because of the power of the dark side, his body would deteriorate really quickly. And that, explained his appearance.
That actually maybe explains, because there was stuff about that I was not confused with, but it was like,
I'm just really confused still, like, of how he's still alive.
yeah.
like how he came to be, like when he
But what he's saying actually explains it better than they did in the film.
right,
If
yeah,
that's what they were.
right, when he was like, he has this line where I'm all the Sith.
Yes.
That makes sense because you know how they have the rule of two. You only
Yeah.
have two, and so he had killed all the Sith. So really, yeah, you hold all the knowledge and.
Yeah, but that almost sounds like Highlander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
But
Yeah.
There
that's
could be
not
only
the-
one.
That could be the only one.
That's not the weirdest part. There's so many odd things that just I don't know.
That's when he started fighting the Kurgan, that just everybody with the lightsabers and just
Like just the ships at the end. Oh, this is ridiculous.
The thing I hated the most was the Emperor coming back. I did not like that at all. I didn't like how they didn't explain how he came back, him being the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like any of that. I think the way it was set up with what Rian Johnson had done was focus on Rey,
Mm-hmm.
focus on Ben,
Mm-hmm.
and if they had that, if they'd taken all the extra stuff with all these dead Star Destroyers or whatever, get rid of all that, they would have had more time to actually tell the story.
Right. Yeah.
And they didn't have. I felt like the movie felt short to me.
Right.
Short in that we're about to discover something going on here, and we're going to talk about something, and then you just went to the next scene. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many. Like the editing
was horrible. Yeah.
You're jumping from one scene to scene, and I feel like the actors weren't given time to act. They were given lines. They were given lines, and they delivered them, and it's just cut next person.
Yeah.
right.
So that's
like
what it
doing
felt.
things like one or two takes probably is what
Yeah.
it felt like.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that's always been behind Star Wars is a large number of locations, and that's one thing that I actually really kind of respect about the Star Wars series is the fact that they're able to cram all these scenes in these different locations into a 2-hour coherent storyline.
Right, and they dropped the ball on this one.
Right.
And understand like Carrie Fisher had passed,
Yeah.
but maybe had they started when, she's died at the movie, maybe that will eliminate
Well, I think they
some
kind
of
of
that.
they should have just used the scene where she got blown out into space
Yes.
and just used that as Leia's.
No, but they tried to use like
They tried too hard.
they
Yeah.
tried too hard like material that they didn't use for the other movies for her.
Yeah.
They used that for this one, and so just imagine just a chop
Yeah.
put together.
It's like would have been better? I think ideally it would have been better to not have her in there,
Exactly.
or would it have been better to do what they did with Moff Tarkin?
Yeah. One or the other.
That's
But I feel like
again
But-
with Rogue One, I didn't like the CGI because I just found it looked a little bit too plastic, and
Yeah.
it was
As a makeup
distracting.
guy, you're probably like,
yeah,
this doesn't
yeah,
work
but
for
some
me.
people were fooled by it.
Yeah.
Like some people walked out of the theater and probably was like, that person looked weird, but didn't notice that it was a person who had passed and
Yeah.
was just CGI. They explained that at the celebrations that they hired someone who had the same acting face, but not really a look-alike.
Oh, okay.
And then they spent a full year just developing his face and putting it on the guy and like making sure everything moved properly. And they showed some bloopers where, the guy would talk and the mouth would all of a sudden fall out of sync. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah,
That's my favorite character in Episode 4 was Moff Tarkin,
Yeah. Grandma
hands
Fry.
down.
he's great in the other materials. Like if you reach him at Clone Wars, like
Yeah.
he's just not afraid.
Yeah, he's like, well, in Episode 4, Darth Vader is afraid of him.
Right. Like
And
we're
it's
just like
this guy is like, and it's like Ian McKellen in a scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do nothing, but you automatically fear
He's-
that guy.
yeah, he's
like
commanding
he
the
is that,
scene.
Yeah,
Versus like
And that's just good
Kylo,
acting.
which is what I kind of like with Kylo Ren's relationship with I don't know the ginger guy. Who,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very pale guy.
Yeah.
So I felt like this is a different
Space
relationship.
Weasley.
Yeah.
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 It's a
Space
good
Weasley. Yeah.
explanation. Yeah.
I liked that character, the Weasley character. He was annoying.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of funny, maybe a little too funny.
Yeah, but it was like high school on a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
No, but I like his relationship with Kylo Ren, and because Kylo Ren is not, he thinks highly of himself. But
Yeah.
you know, in Episode 8, we saw that like he's like, I'm just gonna destroy Luke Skywalker when he didn't even notice that wasn't there at all.
It was force projection.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna. I don't know how we gonna take this.
Did you see it once?
I just saw it once, and by the time they got to the ships, we were laughing so hard. Or even like with
you were missing parts of the movie because you're laughing too much.
It was just so laughable. Okay, like, even like when Princess Leia, Episode 8, was trying to contact everyone in space.
Yeah.
No one would come. Lando is in the movie, goes out for like 5 minutes, and every space in the sky is filled with a ship. So there's like that many people that just listen to him.
It's Lando, he's promising them a party.
Probably.
Yeah, there's gonna be girls, there's gonna be drinks.
I got my Colt 45.
Like some of them didn't know that we were going to battle.
Yeah, exactly. It's
radio.
Lando, it's Space Pimp. Right?
But then the other side, like the Palpatine just says like, oh, this is the last order. And then, and the same idea has all these Star Destroyers just filling every space.
Just show up.
Yeah. Just showed up, and they all have a planet destroyer attached to them. So he didn't make a big Death Star this time. He attached
They just have a million Death Star-like ships.
Yeah. And...
But they're Star Destroyers.
But one critical flaw, they were very dependent. They could not see. I don't know, they're in this planet with very cloudy that they cannot see where they're going. They're dependent on instructions from one antenna. Right?
That's right.
Right? So like there's a million ships in there. They're dependent on one antenna.
There was no lights on their cars, like fog lights.
So they couldn't
had to rely on an antenna.
None of them could leave the atmosphere because they were dependent on that antenna. So naturally what the rebels would do, or the other side of opposition would do, would be to destroy that.
Yeah.
Here, this is a brilliant plan. So it's an antenna that they're destroying. It's not guarded or anything. Their plan...
Of course it isn't. It's the Empire.
So they go there and land all their ship on it, go on horses, and then to attack the antenna. Versus like, you have a million ships there. Someone shoot this antenna. Done.
Wow.
No,
Barrage from space. If you have that many, Lando got to, Spaceman got all these ships together. Just everybody shoot on that one. They can't stop all the lasers.
Do you think the special effects people are like,
what are we doing?
I'm spending hours and hours to
drawing
do this
these
scene.
Horses, making.
Like,
so they had
why?
some space horses. They brought some space
I forgot
horses.
about the space horses.
But I was just like that scene where we started laughing because
Oh my God.
the Empire had so many ships. Lando brought in so many ships, and then they go, we're shooting that antenna. But our plan is to land on there and
take our
go
space
on,
horses.
Yes, and shoot at it manually.
And our space lances, and we're gonna.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah. So that was like, this is just so ridiculous.
Well, just bear in mind also, this is the Empire, who has created the most useless armor ever.
Right.
Yes.
I mean,
why bother?
Yeah.
It's paper, I think.
Yeah, like, it won't even stop,
anything.
the equivalent of small arms fire. And that's, that was something I was, when we were watching The Mandalorian the other day.
Yeah,
it's just, it's got his pistols, bang, and takes on one of the stormtroopers. I'm like, okay, at the very least,
they'd be better
their
off
armor
not
should
wearing
be,
armor.
yeah, their armor should be rated for the smallest, for small arms.
Yeah.
At the very least, it should be able to stop, small arm lasers. No.
Now, in reality, the costumes, are they plastic?
They're just plastic.
Just for the weight?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
never did
Ewoks
anything.
took them out with rocks.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So small arms isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
You haven't seen that episode. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but the episode that Taika Waititi did of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Did you know one of those? There's two stormtroopers in that scene, right?
Yeah.
And one of them is Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, the one who.
I just found that out today. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I always
And-
look it up after, who
I
cameo
should've.
in this,
Yeah.
because they have big names to there.
Lots of
Well,
big
everybody
names.
wants to be in Star Wars,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm in the background. I'm the dead body there. And
Yeah.
if
There was a
someone
lot of
asks, I
that,
will show
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I like that whole scene. It reminded me of did you ever see Troops, that short film, fan film?
No.
It's like based on cops.
Oh,
But
okay,
it's the stormtroopers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You haven't seen that?
No, I have not.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant and it's
Okay.
hilarious. It's one of the first really well done, and I think what really kicked
Fan
off
films,
the
yeah.
fan film
was that movie.
yeah.
Okay.
It's only like, it's not long.
No, it's like 2 episodes.
It takes place during episode 4,
Yeah.
but it's from the perspective of the stormtroopers that are trying to find the droids.
They're trying to find the droids, and yeah, they basically respond to what's essentially a domestic between Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where you find out that it wasn't actually the stormtroopers that killed them. Beru freaked out.
Okay.
Yeah. Those actors that played Peru and Owen were great.
Yeah, actually,
they looked very. But it's good. I think it actually starts out with bad boys.
Yeah.
Which you could, and then you see them. Yeah, we're on Tatooine here. We're on a, and it's literally
It's cops.
It's
Right,
cops, like
right.
with the handheld
Yeah.
cameras, sort of like it's
Yeah.
it's brilliant. Look it up, Troops.
Okay,
It's
Troops.
fantastic. My understanding was Lucas actually screened it. He loved it so much he screened it for his employees
Yeah.
on the ranch. 8:28.
Oh shit. I'm in trouble. Can I borrow your phone for a sec?
Yeah. He has to go pick up his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's actually.
You said 8:15.
We're just gonna keep going here. You have to go for
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you dial on this thing?
Oh, give it to me. It's on the bottom.
It's an
It's the one
Android.
that looks like a phone.
Oh, yeah.
She's waiting at work. My husband doesn't love me.
Yeah.
We're not editing this out.
I'm in trouble, boys.
Hey, I've got a thing we can plug the phone in. We can all talk to.
Yeah. It's just speakerphone.
I'm actually tempted to do that right now.
Use us as a buffer.
Yeah.
Why is Sean calling me? Is that a good Jen imitation?
She's probably not quite off yet.
Which means you're safe. You got time.
If you can leave a message.
Well, you have to be there for 8:30 was the idea, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Her inbox is full.
Damn.
Okay, well, she happens to call you back.
Yes.
Just let her know I'm on my way.
I'll send her a text.
Okay. All right, it was lovely
Okay.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
I'm actually sorry that the night had to end. I was actually having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. You're going to start introducing them to Star Wars, so.
Well, yeah, actually, we started watching Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Abby and I were watching it. That's me and Abby. No Ellie
Yeah.
allowed. It's a me and Abby thing.
And how far have you watched?
2 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit like political at the beginning, and then
Yes.
it goes through like arcs, and the arcs are fantastic.
Yeah,
Like, you get
it's-
to see some of the clones and some of the droids, and yeah, just like behind the scenes, and it makes Anakin less of a asshole.
Yeah.
And he's actually a good general.
Sorry, moving.
Yep. Now we can talk spoilers.
Yeah, now we can talk spoilers. Oh. Todd,
Oh,
it's falling. Yeah, so, okay, yeah, we can talk more spoilers.
So I think that we both love The Mandalorian.
Oh, so you did? I
love The Mandalorian.
I really, really.
But you see what I mean? Like,
that the new one?
Yeah.
That's the TV show,
TV
yeah.
show.
oh, the show.
There's a TV show on Disney, and it was kind of the big sell for Disney, for people to get Disney Plus.
But then now there's nothing. So they have a lot of people canceling their subscriptions
Yeah.
because they have nothing planned to release until next year. But I
They
guess they didn't think about, having a bunch of shows ready to release
Right,
every
because
month or
we've
whatever.
seen everything, so
Right.
why? Especially if you're a fan, of course, you're up on everything, right?
Right, and like you can only watch.
But you can only
like-
watch one episode a week.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
one episode a week.
It was one episode a week, and then after that, like, how many times can you? I mean, if you don't have kids, like, how many times can you rewatch Disney movies? Really, there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Right.
So people
And you
were
probably
canceling.
own most. If you're a Disney fan, you probably have most of those movies.
Yeah, so I heard they're rushing WandaVision and some of the Marvel
The
stuff.
Falcon one,
Falcon,
Falcon 2,
yeah,
right? Yes,
Falcon, yeah,
I think.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're rushing that, but I don't know. Now that they're rushing, I don't know what it'll look like.
Everyone was saying that Disney would cripple Netflix, but I don't think it's quite
I don't
working
think
that
so.
way.
No, I don't.
Netflix's strategy. Witcher actually outscored Mandalorian.
Wow, I haven't seen The Witcher.
You haven't?
No, because I thought that I was told recently that I didn't have to watch the game.
There's his wife.
Yeah.
Hello, Jen. How are you? Good. Yes. Well, actually, it was your husband calling you. You're actually on the air too. This is actually pretty cool. He is on his way. He left late. He got all entranced in this Star Wars talk, but he is en route. Okay. Okay. All right. Talk later. Bye.
And apparently he has no brakes.
What?
What?
No breaks.
He has no brakes. So he's got to take his time.
Jen is such a sweetheart. She's oh god, I love that woman. She's
Very
she's
nice.
great.
Very
she's
nice.
really
Aw.
great. Yeah, they are
Yeah, I'm sure she understands.
grossly in love with each other, which is I love that.
It's good
That's
to see.
awesome.
Yeah.
For sure. Mandalorian.
Yeah, the Witcher. So yeah, so the Witcher
Witcher
the
yeah,
Witcher
yeah.
actually outdid, but because
I thought I needed to know about the game. I have the game now, and I was just
Oh,
gonna,
did you?
I was gonna play it, and then
But it's based on the books,
I guess
which
so.
came
Yeah,
before the
I
game,
guess
which
that's
I
what
had
I
no
looked-
idea.
But they said the show is only half based on the books. Like they added their own thing. I don't know how true this
Oh,
is. I haven't seen it.
so what I heard is, I know we're supposed to be talking about the Mandalorian, but it's actually, there was a bunch of short stories, and then there was the novels.
Okay.
So it's actually taking bits from the novel and the
I
short
see.
stories because they didn't want it to just be about him. They wanted to introduce all the characters. So there's arcs following, I guess, like 3 main characters, I guess.
Okay.
And you're seeing,
And,
so
it,
it's
and
interspersed.
I heard it
yeah,
it goes back and forth in
back
time.
and forth in
yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't seen it, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it matched or surpassed
But
Mandalorian.
the reason for that is because Disney's still not released worldwide yet. Disney Plus,
Oh, there you go.
like I think they're just about to get it in Europe.
Yeah.
So that really screwed the numbers. So maybe it would have done better, but yeah, Disney really botched not having something to follow
Lined up,
with.
yeah.
They just thought people just want to watch our old movies all the
I'm
time.
like, there's not much else
There's
to watch.
one release that just came out. The Lion King just came out. Like that's it.
And wasn't there a Lady and the Tramp or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But,
I mean,
like,
like,
there's
that's not something that
version.
people.
You need new content on
Right.
a streaming network. That's
Like,
what
they
it's
did like
all about.
Real Dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a sequel or is it just like a remake?
I don't know. I think it's a remake.
We haven't
honestly.
even bothered to watch it.
See. Yeah. So
But we are watching Runaways. Have you seen Runaways?
no, is it an old movie? New movie.
No, it's a TV show. It's
TV
based on a
show.
comic book.
Okay.
Me and Sylvie's probably safe to say our favorite comic book writer, other than Kurt Busiek, which
Yeah,
I mentioned
okay.
before. But that's the one that we share. And when Sylvie and I met, like, she knew comic books, but I was really introducing her stuff.
Right.
And that was like, that's the writer that we kind of
Okay.
picked
Did you
together.
both agreed? Yeah.
Yeah, and the way I don't know why, but I really love female characters in comic books and movies and stuff. Like, I kind of prefer a female character. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm surrounded by women in my house. I'm the only man, but I really like a strongly written female character,
Yeah.
and this guy does it so well.
That's perfect. Yeah.
So anyway, so the book that we were reading was Runaways, the comic book,
and then now they
and now they
adapt into a show.
and it was on Hulu, so there was no way to get it in Canada.
So they had it in Disney, the Runaways?
Well, they have it on. They have it now. They just added it to Disney. So I strongly recommend it. We've been watching an episode or two every night, and the writer is executive consultant on the show, so it does have his input. So if you want something else to watch at Disney Plus, go watch it.
Watch it for a week and then.
Yeah, but there's only like 10 episodes or something.
Okay, there we go.
But
I thought they did a good job with releasing one episode a week because
very smart.
Kept people on their subscription.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, Netflix kind of ruined it with having all the shows, all the episodes all at once. I mean,
because everybody talks about it for a week and that's it. Then you're done.
Exactly.
You want to binge watch.
The anticipation of the next episode was fun to revisit.
It was kind of good because I know a lot of people, like, they went back and watched that first episode a bunch of times before the second one came out. Like, you just wanted to, like, okay,
I just need something
to anticipate what's going to happen next. Like, you're like, I'm going to watch it back.
But that's what I remember, like, having fun with it. You know, TV in general. Like, you watch one episode, you talk about it amongst your friends, and then the day before the next episode comes, you talk about it a little bit more and have your own theories, and then you watch the episode and confirm. Whatever. Confirm like, oh, I was right or I was wrong. Yeah, and then you keep talking about it for a while until it's done.
Sounds like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Or The Office, or any of those series.
No, exactly.
Yeah. But those are fun, right? Like, it stimulates conversation rather than, you know, you talk about it 1 week and then you're done.
Do you think they're going to do that with, like, the Marvel shows?
I think that's what they're...
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's what they're planning.
I like that.
Yeah.
But Mandalorian was...
fantastic.
I was not very excited for it. I'm like, well, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
but I wasn't... And just...
But just your expectations were
10 minutes into that first episode, I'm like,
this is a Western movie.
This is so good.
And I like it pays tribute to a lot of, you know, Western movies.
The Clint Eastwood stuff and like all those spaghetti westerns. It feels very much like that.
Like the train chase scenes, but they're on the sand crawler.
Yeah, but on a sand crawler. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was almost I almost felt it was kind of like how Indiana Jones paid homage to the old movie. This is the same thing. It was all practical effect. Like, there was not a lot of special effects. It was very practically shot. So it felt more real. It felt more grounded.
It had, like, enough nostalgia in every episode. You know, they wouldn't, like... they would feature, like, a character that you know from before, but they won't really overdo it.
Yeah.
So, it was very, very enjoyable. And, like, see what I mean? Like, it kind of ties in with everything else, but it's
not so overtly reliant.
Right. But then, that's why I didn't like the movie so much, because I was just like, you know, do I like the story? The story was all right. Like, had the story been mind-blowing, even the storytelling, if the storytelling was on point, I would have been like, I loved it. Yeah. But none of the pieces were working for me.
No, and there's fan service, but it was like...
Right, but I didn't need that.
We don't need that, no.
Yeah. We're already invested in the movie, like, you know, 9 movies in. Yeah. So I didn't think...
we're already here.
Yeah, and it's, you know, hasn't been a while. Like, the last movie was just 2 years ago. I didn't need, like, I didn't nostalgia to be included in the movie,
were they just trying to make their money back?
I feel like that's what he's doing. I feel like J.J. Abrams seemed to be like a people pleaser. So I'm like, what do the people want?
Yes, I think so,
let's undo all of the things that, you know, the Rose character, they were just like, yep, you're not going to be in the movie. You're going to say 3 lines in total, and you're just going to be in the background. But, so they didn't even need to hire that actress. Like, she could have been, like, any extra.
Well, they had Dominic Monaghan from Lost. He was in Lost, and he was also in Lord of the Rings. They brought him in. And it seems like everything he did could have been Rose's stuff.
Right. Like, but why? Like, why? And then they had, like, the slug thing in the spaceship, the one scene. Yeah. And, like, didn't do anything.
The one thing they did right, though, that I teared up a little bit was Chewbacca.
Did they do that right? I feel like they didn't. Because, like, again, they upped the stakes where they're like, oh, he's going to die.
Oh, no, I don't mean that part. I mean when he finds out Leia's dead.
Oh, that one, yeah.
In the medal. Like,
oh, yeah.
Chewbacca died?
No.
No, there are no stakes in this movie.
Yeah, there's no stakes in these movies.
So they trick you.
Oh. They trick you into thinking he died. I really hated that, yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, the sky was empty. So someone takes Chewbacca. They accidentally blow up the ship, so they thought he died.
Right.
But he was actually in another
But then there's
ship.
another ship. Well, we're like, where was that ship? The
Yeah.
sky was empty. It was a, bright sunny day. No other ships
Yeah.
were flying in the
It was
sky.
a bright sunny
But
day.
apparently, there was one that may be invisible. I don't know.
It's like they're blowing up a box. The guy's all chained up. You saw him go in. They chained the box up.
Yeah,
it blew
yeah,
up.
magic show. Yeah, that's exactly.
But he ended up in this plane. Well, where did the plane come from? It's got
Right.
nothing to do with the storyline at all.
Exactly. So
And the way they played the scene out too, they didn't like they should have been pulling at your heartstrings. Oh no,
Yeah.
he's dead. But it's like you're like, I don't think he died.
right.
Like it was just horribly
Yeah.
edited or paced.
The
or,
Knights
or
of
whatever.
Ren that did nothing.
Yeah, what a waste.
Yeah, like Kylo Ren should have had this band of, I don't know, were they?
Worshippers.
Yeah,
or,
because
acolytes.
but
or...
I thought they were Luke's students too, but apparently not. They don't have any lightsabers or any force
Yeah.
powers, but
Well, because that's what I thought they might have been his students. That
that followed Kylo Ren,
yeah.
but apparently not. But they never did anything. They just stood there.
like if you're gonna tie stuff up like to make it tighter, then okay, those were the not failed students, but Luke Skywalker students that and they all followed Ren.
Kylo,
That's a good plot
Right? Yeah.
to have.
But no,
But
they didn't
it's
do
like-
anything with that. What I really like was the I like the Kylo and Rey connection. I like how they played along with that.
And that's what the movie should have been.
Right,
in my
and
opinion.
I would like it to be more of a tug between them. Light
Yes.
and dark side. That would have been
Yes.
so cool to see.
That's a whole movie right there.
But
You
I
don't
don't
need
know.
all this extra stuff.
Yeah, they had this. It's almost like a video game. Like they finished one mission, it led them to a
Yeah,
next
yeah,
mission,
yeah.
and that's what the movie was. But the missions were just like so conveniently set up. Like, oh, there's this this dagger that they found had this language.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
3PO can read it. Okay, he reads it. Like, but I can't speak it because it's forbidden. Of course.
Yeah. So then they have to kill 3PO.
Yeah.
Quote,
Again,
that's quotation marks.
again,
Download
In order-
the information to
yes,
see what it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then it would erase his memory. So again, you're like, oh shoot, like this is a critical
yeah,
character that you're wiping his memory off.
Because he won't be 3PO anymore. He'll
Yeah.
just be.
But the movie that he's in right now has nothing to do with the other Star Wars. Was that what you're saying?
No. Just they were going to make it sound like, okay, well, he's
Where
going to
he's gonna get-
sacrifice himself.
Right. And
So
guess
they
what?
can.
R2 R2 has a backup of his
He's got a back.
So he wiped his memory out, but then R2 uses his backup for 3PO and
and
just
you're like back to normal.
back to normal.
Oh. See, I know, being someone who hasn't seen all the Star Wars, but have heard about Star Wars and all the fans and all the controversy, it seems like Star Wars is probably the most controversial series that people have been talking about for years.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
and not within
Because
these
the fans are
last-
passionate.
Yes,
Right.
and not within these last 10 years. I'm talking like right from the get-go. It was always, well, this happened on here to here, and Empire Strike Back, and this was wrong. And then
Yeah.
as it kind of went on, I think people more so accepted the beginning.
Yeah.
And as things went on, they went, well, this doesn't mesh with that
Yeah.
at all.
Did you like the prequels?
After this movie, yes.
I
Just
actually- yeah, right.
you have a much more appreciation of the prequels because
Yes.
at least like the prequels, episode 1 to 3, knew what it wanted to be,
Yes.
and they were cohesive.
Maybe those movies weren't as bad as we all said they were
Right,
at the time.
yeah.
I actually enjoyed them.
the only one that I didn't like was episode 2. I think just the cheesy lines
Was that
between.
your least favorite? That's
Yeah.
my least favorite. I actually don't mind the first one.
Yeah, the first one is fun, even for like for kids. You're watching them go
Yes.
do the pod racing, and like, oh, this is
Yeah,
fun.
like the pod racing was really cool.
yeah,
That
but
whole-
there's a lot of politics involved in that first one that may
like
not.
Qui-Gon Jinn was amazing.
Yeah,
we got
Darth
to see
Maul.
we get to see a young Obi-Wan. Like all that stuff was great. Darth Maul was freaking cool.
Yeah,
And even the score, John Williams was using voices this time. That the Darth Maul,
yeah,
"Whoa,"
yeah.
like
That was really good.
that
yeah,
was so.
but then
But
like
people,
yeah, I
it's
don't know.
Jar Jar.
The
It's like,
Jar Jar. They
well, then
they got
forget
so
about
hung
it.
up on that
Yeah.
character that they forgot the entire movie. But episode 2 was the one that I really didn't like because of the first the kid from episode 1 is now an adult all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and then
that was
they
weird.
start this romance, and all their scenes were just that.
Yeah.
Like so much of weird lines and being all creepy, and then at the end we're like, yeah, we're
And
together.
George Lucas is not known for directing. He's known for, he's more the technical guy.
Right.
Like, I don't think he's good at getting like the actors like, what am I doing in this
Yeah.
scene? And
Yeah.
when you're acting, because I've done some, if you don't know what your motivation is in that scene, or you don't know,
yeah.
and nothing's filmed in sequence,
Yeah.
right? So
you don't know what what expression you should bring to your lines. It just felt like that entire movie, the episode 2, and even the Count Dooku, which had more when you reach his arcs in the Clone Wars. There's so much more to him, but we never saw it. You didn't buy into him,
Yeah,
you know.
very true.
And then episode 3 was obviously everyone really liked seeing Anakin transition. But, there's the gap there between 2 and 3 because all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? What happened to you?
Yeah. And and I mean, that's where the Clone Wars take place, right? So
Sure,
thank
yeah,
God
and
for that.
and that's fine, but,
My
it knew
problem
what
with
it
the
wanted
Clone
to tell.
Wars, Attack of the Clones, the
Yeah,
second one, was that they've been talking about the Clone Wars, like, back in the Clone Wars, like, and then it's like, this is going to be the Clone Wars, and then it just, like,
it wasn't
that's
as,
it. It's like, we're not going to really cover the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
we're just going to talk about the start, and then
Yeah.
we're just going to move on to something else. Like, I don't know.
So you guys, so you both watched the whole series, right?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone were to first start off watching Star Wars, what episode would you say is the most important?
I say 4, 5, and 6. If you're new to it and you want to see what it's all about, I think episodes 4.
It's a
5,
good
and 6.
introduction.
Okay, so 4, 5, and 6, because there's prequels and sequels and all this other stuff.
That's all you need to watch.
What is that? Is that the first Star Wars, like the very first one that came
Yeah,
out?
the very
one,
first movie.
That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
And that was
And it
called
still holds
episode,
up, I find. It still holds up. I think
yeah.
it's still a good movie.
And that was called episode 3?
4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4, 5, and 6, you said?
Yeah, that's all you need to watch.
Okay, so Star Wars first one was called Star Wars.
Well,
Second one was
It was called Star Wars, but they changed it later to New Hope. They actually changed the crawl to
A New Hope.
A New Hope.
Okay, so it had a name.
It's called Star Wars. A New
They
Hope.
all have titles.
Yeah.
Okay, so of all the ones that you've seen, which is the worst one?
Probably the new one.
The new one is the messiest.
Is the messiest.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, like, is it on the same level as the second one, or episode 2? At least the episode 2 had a solid story to tell. Like,
I think we both are going to enjoy the episode 2 more.
right.
In context now.
I was thinking, like, Solo didn't do much for me. It was all right.
Yeah.
But again, it was a full movie. It was a solid movie, beginning to end.
I think I might appreciate it more now too. Like go back and watch it.
I'm always curious what the people who really ripped apart episode 8 thinks of the.
It's funny
movie.
because the tides have changed on
Right.
episode 8 now. They're like saying it actually was a good film. But this is Rian Johnson who has that movie out now called Knives Out, which it might. I don't even know if it maybe got nominated for an Oscar or something. But everyone's talking about like this is so amazing. He's such a good director. And
Yeah.
people are going back going, if Knives Out is so great, maybe episode 8 isn't that bad.
Right. Yeah. There's just so many things to pick apart, and I'm not a nitpicky person, but I find myself nitpicking at this most recent movie just because there were so many.
The expectation was there, but they didn't deliver.
Yeah, and like there was nothing that stands out to like about it. Like storytelling, at least nail that down. Like nope, we're gonna give you the choppiest movie ever.
I think if they would have put a Star Wars movie out every 3 years.
Yeah,
instead of every 2, like having a whole year.
They really wanted to cash in on it pretty early, and they might have had toys lined up.
They
I don't
wanted
know.
a movie every year, like a Star Wars movie every other year, and then a Solo and then,
spin-off movie.
So there was going to be a movie release every year. So one would be, episode 7, and then a Star Wars spin-off movie, and then episode 8, and then a Star Wars spin-off movie, and then episode 9.
But see what happened when they did episode 7 and then Rogue One, because they had so much time to prepare for those ones.
Yeah.
It was such a good combo. But then, episode 8 and Solo was like...
Yeah, they rushed both of those. And Solo, they refilmed 3/4 of the movie because the directors were fired. We talked about it on that episode, the guys that did the Lego movie.
It wasn't
and
necessary.
Lego movie came out after. Everyone was like, oh my God, these guys are horrible. They ruined Star Wars.
Right.
And then they go put out the Lego movie, which got nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah. And
it was
huge.
great.
Yeah.
They put more effort in the Lego movie.
Well, no, they put effort in this, but
they didn't have time. I feel like they didn't have enough time.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah. I feel like you should take your time in these things, especially for something as big. If someone was to make, like, I don't know, a Game of Thrones movie,
right?
Like, that person's going to be heavily criticized by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you better take your time and get your ducks in a row and make sure everything's right. Because you make one mistake and people are going to rip you apart. But, you know, this movie made, like, 100 mistakes.
Yeah. And it still made $1 billion, so...
Right.
Like, is it a flop? You know, but this movie could have made $4 billion.
But I think there's a market for them too. I can see people who, you know, the shippers who really just wanted a romantic connection between the characters, like cheering for them, and be like, yeah, this is worth our money. But I feel like I don't think Star Wars was meant to be a romance.
No,
you're expecting one thing, and they're totally giving you something different.
Right. Yeah. And like, and the romance thing was super forced in my opinion. Like, there was nothing that
they should have had time to get there.
Yeah, there was no hinting of that happening, and then there's like, oh, it just happened.
I was okay with it. I just don't like how it just
ended.
It's just there, like, well,
you know,
because there was the lead up was just.
There's probably more questions for other things that you wanted to know about than throwing this in.
Yeah, I have a coworker who was questioning, you know, Palpatine did the lightning, his Force lightning, and then Rey blocked it with one lightsaber, and then she picks up the second one, and all of a sudden it reflects.
Yeah.
And
was it a different color though, lightsaber?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
So maybe that mattered, but one lightsaber wasn't doing it. Picks up, she grabs the second one, holds it against him, and apparently the lightning goes back to him. And all he had to do was stop doing it. and he would have been fine.
So
I'm shooting. Oh,
so out of all the Star Wars movies, what was the most epic scene in your mind?
Of all the Star Wars movies?
Out of all of them. The one that made you go, yeah, this is what it's all about.
I don't know if this is like...
Okay, I pose you the same question. I have to think about that one.
Oh, man.
That's a lot of movies to go through in your head.
I one scene that stands out so much, maybe because it's also more recent, was in Rogue One, that last scene when they were delivering the plan. That was a beautiful moment for me because not only was that scene directly before Episode 4, so basically
Rogue One was
it happens before Episode 4.
Okay,
but they made this movie after Episode 7,
right?
And so this is what I mean, that you can research this and tie it all seamlessly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the movie ends when almost like minutes before Episode 4 starts. And that entire scene where Darth Vader was chasing them, and they were you could just feel you're on the edge of your seat, and you know the plan is gonna get to Princess Leia, but
he's like, oh my God, Darth Vader's
he's
scary.
there, he's just right there, and he's scaring everyone, and so I think it captured Darth Vader's essence perfectly.
Yeah.
And just showed how ruthless he can be. That the fact that he, who's high in command, came down and chased them, got in their ship,
got his hands dirty.
Yeah, and just started like ripping at people.
Did his own dirty work.
Yeah, and almost
in
got
Episode
there.
4, you don't see any of that. It's all done.
Yeah, it starts off with Princess Leia getting the message and whatever. But I think that scene stands out really so much because it just shows how much work they put into thinking about all of this and writing it and making it connect to the other. So I felt like that was a good example of this is what Star Wars is all about, like a bunch of stories that can be connected. And
So if you watched episode 1, 2, and 3, it would all channel
it should tell a story
flawlessly,
up until
Up until
6.
yeah.
and then it all falls apart.
And then 7, because it happened years after. Well, I mean, like there is a gap
There was
between 3 and 4.
there was still a story in that one.
There
It was
was
a
still-
little
yeah.
reminiscent of before, but it was
It's just
still okay.
rough. It will be a rough story. 7.
That's Sylvie's favorite one.
7, yeah.
right. They have like a 6.
But
and a half.
she loves that, right? She loves JJ.
Yeah, I wish there would be a
6 and a half or 6 3/4 or something. They'll throw one in.
Well, I think the cartoon Rebels should be somewhere in. No, it's not after 6. I'm just trying to think of it. Because Darth Vader
Was
is
it
in
after?
Because
is it-
Darth Vader
Darth
is
Vader's
in.
in. Is it after 3 then maybe?
Could be, yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
So I'm
there's
gonna watch.
nothing in
I'm
between.
watching them in chronological. So I'm watching Clone Wars, and then I'm gonna watch. Is it Rebels after that? Right.
Rebels,
and
yeah.
then the other one.
Rebels was really good first 2 seasons. Really serious, and I mean, like, it's silly. It's this kid's show.
That's the more kiddish one? Is it
It
Rebels?
is a more kiddish one.
Because there's 3 of them, right?
Yeah, but then like towards the end of the season, they would always like, oh, this person's back. This person's featured here. And then after season 2, it just became a kid's show,
Oh,
which is
okay.
still like enjoyable. But they were just like, oh,
Awesome.
here are the other animals that exist, which is fine. But you know, to get the adults to buy into it, you need to include something.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
Back to the Mandalorian. What was your favorite episode?
That episode when they were going to prison
You too.
with, yeah,
Me too.
with a group of
The group of
aliens.
ragtag.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Oh
It
my
was so
God.
much fun.
Every character was great.
Right, yeah.
Every character was great. So yeah, they Mando, the Mandalorian guy, he's hired by an old buddy from way back when.
And apparently I think he worked with all of these people.
Yeah. And then
Or
they have to
aliens.
go break someone out of a prison. But it shows his character.
Mm-hmm.
It shows he's got a very strict set of a very strict
moral
code. Yeah. And it's tested
Mm-hmm. And
over and over in that episode, and you get to really
and then he
see
reaches
that
his
character.
point, his breaking point, and then he just does what he feels like he has to do.
Yep.
And it was beautiful.
So good.
Yeah.
Every actor in that episode was amazing.
Yeah.
I liked I think that was my favorite episode, but I think my favorite moment was me just geeking out was the episode. I can't remember the character's name now. But it was Ming Na, is that her name? From Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. showed up.
Okay.
She showed up. She's my favorite character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like, oh my God, she's in this. I
just
geeked out. I think so. It's
geeking
like,
out over
what's
the
wrong with
cameos.
you? Yeah. But I love like her as an actress, her as a character on that
Yeah.
show and everything. And then to just, let's show a little love and bring her in. I don't know. That really got me excited. And then, of course, Kara.
Which character?
Kara, I think her name, Kara, the UFC fighter lady.
Oh, yeah. She was good. Yeah.
She was so good.
Yeah.
Stole every scene she was in. Yeah. Want to cap it off here?
Sure. Yeah.
You got to go eat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need some, like, a friend in town, so. Yeah.
I want to go home and check on Abby, see how she's doing.
Oh.
I haven't seen her all day. I'm worried about her.
Okay.
She's fine, but I don't know. I'm just a worrying dad.
You've been away too long.
I've been away too long.
Too many hours away.
I miss my wife. I miss
There
my
you go.
kids. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Actually, that was
inviting.
a
Thanks for
lot of
coming
fun,
over, for
actually.
sure.
Yeah. It was
that
a lot of
It
fun.
was a blast. All right.
All right.
Well, see you guys on the flip side.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.